Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's edition of the Star Wars Stuff Podcast. My name is David,
I'm Ray.
and this is where we talk about all things Star Wars. And it's been a little while since we broadcasted and podcasted. And yeah, we're back, and we're getting ready for Star Wars Day, which is May 4th. And we will both be at Galaxy's Edge in Orlando.
I won't be.
Oh, you won't be?
No. I wish I would be.
So who's all going then? I thought it was like more than half the podcast.
I don't know. I assume Colin and Brooke because they live down there.
Right.
And I honestly don't know who else.
Okay.
Maybe Sam and Matt.
Sam said he wasn't going.
Sam's been like 5 times, so
Yeah. Well, I thought he kind of like lived there, so I thought he was for sure gonna go. But
yeah.
But yeah, we're back. There's a bunch of stuff I think to talk about in the past 2 weeks. A lot of like kind of not huge things have dropped. I know the last podcast we did, it was all about the Obi-Wan casting, and I think we've all had time to kind of think about it, and just some of those castings. I think the Kumail Nanjiani casting for me was very surprising. That did not leak. I didn't hear anyone talk about him being cast, and I started thinking about, okay, so who would he play? And immediately I thought kind of the quirky comic relief droid automatically. But he's gotten like really ripped for Marvel's Eternals. So who knows? I mean, maybe he's playing like I don't know, an action lead. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I don't know. I think what I've seen of him, I think he would fit perfectly with the comic relief droid.
Mhm.
But I don't know. I haven't really seen him in anything other than comedy.
Mhm.
So, I mean, I assume he can do serious acting, but
Mhm.
I'd because of like him being a comedian, I would think putting him in a comedic role would be most obvious. So I guess it depends on if they're subverting expectations or playing into them.
Right. And the omissions, I think, of course, Liam Neeson, Natalie Portman. I think there's one other one. Who am I missing? Ray Park.
Yeah.
That's another one. I think it's going to be a total 100% that Liam Neeson is going to be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi show. I mean, I was almost 100% sure. And then a book came out that I know that James and Rudy bought that actually states in there, I guess spoilers for that book if you don't know, but it states in there it took Obi-Wan 10 years to figure out how to commune with Qui-Gon. And the show takes place 10 years after the events of Revenge of the Sith. So that kind of screams right there that, yeah, we're going to get Liam Neeson. And I think they're kind of holding it back. For us, I mean, it's a kind of a foregone conclusion for us hardcore Star Wars fans. But I think for the general public, I think it's going to be a shock because a lot of people aren't thinking about the things that we're constantly thinking about. At least I'm
Yeah.
thinking about. And
I think
yeah.
at the very least we could get him in a flashback. Like even if they pull audio from episode 1,
Mhm.
I think we'll have him incorporated somehow in that series.
I think that is my hope and dream, that we get some type of prequel to the prequels flashback of him and Obi-Wan and Qui-Gon kind of going through their adventures. And
Mhm.
that would be awesome. But I'm pretty sure that we're going to get something Clone Wars related. I think the action set pieces will be Clone Wars era, and then we're going to get, of course, the epic rematch between Obi-Wan and Vader, which I haven't even tried to dream about because I don't want my hopes and expectations to be so sky high, but I think it's going to be awesome.
Yeah.
And the one guy that they did announce that I was almost as sure as Liam Neeson that was going to be in the series was Joel Edgerton. And 20 years ago, when he did The Phantom Menace, he wasn't a really well-known actor. And since then, he's become a pretty well-known actor. He's done a lot of movies, and he's been on the directing side as well. And there's a horror movie that he directed, and it got a lot of critical acclaim. I haven't seen it yet, but I know he's a super talented guy. And I was thinking today, if you cast an actor like a Joel Edgerton, you're not just going to have him say a few lines like Uncle Owen did in A New Hope. You're probably going to have him do a whole lot more. And as far as his role as Uncle Owen, is he going to be maybe like almost like a companion or a friend type character to Obi-Wan? I mean, is that... It's on the table, but do you think that is going to inform his attitude towards Obi-Wan and A New Hope? I'm guessing it is.
They've got to have some kind of history, because in A New Hope he seems very like, we got to keep Luke away from Ben, like at all costs, kind of an attitude.
Right.
And so there's either some serious falling out, or he learns something. I'm not sure, but there's definitely going to be some sort of relationship there, and I'm really curious to see what it is.
Yeah, I'm super interested in seeing how they kind of tackle his character and see if his role is actually going to be expanded upon. And same thing for Aunt Beru. Bonnie Peace has been recasted as well, and that was a pleasant surprise. I figured she was going to come back, and of course with the casting they confirmed it. So I'm just super looking forward to... I'm getting even more hyped, and I'm trying to lower my expectations as much as possible for Obi-Wan, but it seems like the more that time passes, I start thinking about it, and people start texting me about it and messaging us about it, and it's like, this is going to be... It's almost going to be like a saga film. The hype and the expectation. And I think for sure it's going to really break records, and it's got to be the #1 streaming show when it debuts. So I'm just super looking forward to it. And they just started filming, I think, principal photography for the main actors. And someone brought up the fact that Hayden Christensen is actually going to turn 40, I think, this week.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, I loved his role in Attack of the Clones, which was the first film that he starred in for Star Wars, and I was super hyped for his casting because I had seen his previous films, and I thought he did a pretty good job. And to bring him back, and for him to come back, it's an incredible thing. But it's like Star Wars. I mean, what actor wouldn't want to come back to Star Wars?
Yeah. I wonder if we'll get like a young Luke.
So I think that's another kind of foregone conclusion that we're going to get a young Luke. But the casting, though, I think Lucasfilm, from the whole Jake Lloyd scenario, has kind of learned that, yeah, you don't want to put out there who you're casting for young Luke quite yet, because the kid's going to have to be pretty young. He might be 12 or in his early teens to play Luke as a 8, 9, 10-year-old, 11-year-old, 12-year-old.
Yeah, if it's about 10 years after episode 3, then he'd be about 10.
Right. Somewhere in that, yeah. So it's kind of like one of those things. It's like you want the kid to still be a kid for as long as you can let him be, because I mean he's going to become instantly famous.
I don't think he'd have like a very prominent role in this series. I think it'd be more of like a cameo kind of thing.
Right.
But we could also see Obi-Wan's relationship with Luke, because they know each other. Well, Luke knows about Obi-Wan.
Right. Luke is such a prominent character. I mean, he's basically the main character of Star Wars if you look at it from a certain point of view. I know there's different main characters in each trilogy. But for me growing up, and I think all the old school fans, it's Luke is the character.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that is an interesting thing how they're going to play it out, because I totally see what you're saying, that they might have them just kind of in the background and not really focus on a young Luke. But I mean, they totally could. I mean, there could be scenarios out there, because I mean, we all figured that Obi-Wan's going to have to leave the planet.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to end up either on the Death Star or some other place to have that big rematch that Kathleen Kennedy guaranteed that we're going to have.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's still early days, and there hasn't been really any leaks for any type of script or shooting, but there has been, I'm not sure what platform it leaked on, but someone had a camera, I guess a camera phone, and was driving through the sets of Tatooine, and they were claiming that it was the sets of the Obi-Wan Kenobi series.
Yeah, the video I saw had a TikTok watermark on it, but I don't, that could be that somebody took that video, posted it to TikTok, and then took that video, so I don't know where it originated.
Yeah, I didn't see anything that kind of jumped out at me. It just looked like Tatooine and Mos Eisley, Mos Espa.
Like, for all I know, it could have been like an expansion of Galaxy's Edge. I mean, that's exactly what it looks like. It looks very intricate and like detailed, and it looks very much like Tatooine. So it looks really nice, though. Whatever it's for, it looks good.
Yeah, I mean, Obi-Wan's stuck on Tatooine, so until he gets to get off planet somehow, some way. I'm really interested to see how they actually address that and get him to leave the planet.
Mm-hmm.
But that person who dropped that video said that they were going to drop another one, but I'm pretty sure Lucasfilm is aware and kind of have seen the video, and
I would imagine,
and are probably taking a little bit more stringent action on who gets to carry a cell phone and who doesn't. But yeah, I'm not quite sure how they handle that. I mean, it's being on the inside of Lucasfilm, you kind of wondered, they do like that type of free publicity, but they don't at the same time, it seems like. But I mean, he didn't leak anything huge, so.
Yeah. I almost wonder if, because like sometimes like studios will have things leak and they're intentional. So I don't know if this is an intentional leak or if somebody really was just tooling around set.
Yeah, I would say it's not. I don't think Lucasfilm goes about it that way, because I mean, it's already one of the hugest franchises with Star Wars, so they don't really need that. But yeah, it is interesting. It totally shocked me back in 2015, 2014 when those leaks came out about The Force Awakens. I didn't believe them. I was like, there's no way that someone got all this information and just put it online. But apparently it happened. And you kind of do wonder, did they do this on purpose or what? Because I mean, going through the whole printing the script on red paper with black ink so you can't copy it. I mean, just having all the signage everywhere, loose lips sink starships. I mean, JJ is really legendary for that stuff, and it's still all leaked. And I made a comment one time online about how one of the writers' rooms for Amazon's is really kind of top secret for one of their upcoming shows. And I thought it was the most kind of secure writer's room ever, because they apparently there was reports of armed guards at the door. And I was like, yeah, that's the most secure. And then someone else chimed in and they were like, no. The Force Awakens was the most secure. And it's like, well, did they have armed guards? I don't think so. But anyways, I digress. But yeah, stuff still leaked somehow. I don't know, but it happened. On a personal note, I bought an Oculus. And
what is that?
So
Like,
It's a virtual reality headset.
right. It's like I knew it
And
sounded familiar, but I couldn't place it.
yeah, James actually bought one I think a month ago or a few months ago. And I want to say, after thinking about it, maybe my best ever Star Wars experience was doing The Void out in California at Disney Springs, because it put you into the world of Star Wars. With The Void, you have a headset, you have a vest, you have um, later on when you go through the experience, they hand you a blaster, an actual blaster that moves and shakes. And
Ooh,
with a
nice.
vest, that you can feel heat. You can feel when the blaster bolt hits you, you feel heat. But the Oculus is just a headset,
Hmm.
and it has sound, and you have two controllers. And I bought the first episode of Vader Immortal, and it reminded me a lot of going through that Void experience. And the Void experience was kind of a Rogue One feel, because you saw, I guess, spoilers for the Void, you saw Diego Luna, you saw K2SO, and it's an incredible thing to actually be in the Star Wars world. And it's tough to kind of explain it. It's kind of one of those things you have to do.
Yeah.
But there's a section of the episode for Vader Immortal with the Oculus where you pick up a lightsaber, and the controller becomes a lightsaber, and the controller is constantly shaking while you
Oh,
have the saber on, and you hear the classic sounds of the saber, and it's super immersive. It's not as immersive as the Void, but I mean, it's like right there. And yeah, I definitely recommend, if you can get a hold of an Oculus. I haven't played the next two episodes quite yet. I just purchased them. But there's a total of two more episodes. It was written by the guy who wrote the Dark Knight trilogy, and David Goyer.
okay.
And yeah, we were actually at the panel in Chicago. It's the 2-year anniversary of the Chicago celebration. But we were at the panel. I got a poster, and they talked about how the story is canon. They wrote the story specifically for Oculus. And I think at the time we were all like, well, we're never going to get to play it, because I mean, the Oculus is kind of pricey. But yeah, I was able to get a hold of one, and definitely for the podcast, I definitely wanted to experience it. And yeah, it's pretty awesome. Holding a lightsaber with the Oculus is definitely a pretty surreal experience, because it's the closest I think you can get. And with that, there was news that a real lightsaber has been created, and
I
we will
heard
get
the
to see
rumors.
them. But it's kind of misinforming the public, I think, because I don't think it's truly a real lightsaber. I think what they're trying to convey is that you can hit a button and the blade will come out of the hilt.
Kind of like
Yeah.
those toy ones where you like flick it and the blade shoots out, but fancier.
Right. It's not like the cup inside a cup inside a cup
Yeah.
type of setup. It's a more of, the descriptions are kind of like a measuring tape with lights, and it's supposed to look like a
Okay.
lightsaber. So there's no pictures, there's no video, nothing has leaked quite yet. This was at the end of a presentation to investors, I believe. And they showed off all kinds of other stuff, but that was like the cherry on top. That was the last thing they showed. It was a matter of seconds, apparently. And it was supposed to be pretty cool. And I think there's I put diagrams on the Facebook group of what the patent was for it. And the patent's been out there for a while. But
Now, is that something that's going to be for sale, or is that like a Galaxy's Edge experience kind of thing?
so Colin thinks, no, it's not going to be for sale. It's going to be for cast members only at Galaxy's Edge. But if I put my executive hat on, those things are going to be for sale.
Yeah.
Those things are
Somebody's
going to
going to
make a
figure
lot
out
of
how to
money.
make one.
Right. Well, I mean, yeah, mass produce them and get them to everyone. If they're as awesome as as the internet has kind of been talking about, yeah, they're going to want to make some money off of them, because
Yeah.
apparently it's it kind of blew the crowd away. But of course, we have no pictures, no video. So
Now,
what is it?
with them just being for cast members, would that be cast members while at work in Galaxy's Edge? Or they're just going to give them to cast members?
I think it's going to be for like Kylo Ren and the
Okay.
Rey that
So
walks
your face
around.
characters.
Yeah, and the other characters that they'll implement in the future. Maybe
That
there's
would
going to be
make
an
sense.
Obi-Wan. Yeah, Ahsoka walking around. Yeah, it's going to be that type of thing. But I mean, my initial thoughts were, yeah, they're going to make a lot of money, and they're going to cost more than what we have right now with the Force FX sabers, which are already pretty pricey. So I think Disney's going to make a lot more money off of these sabers.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was kind of interesting. And
I'm
kind
excited to see how those come out.
Yeah, and I'll be at Galaxy's Edge on May 4th. It'd be neat if they kind of debuted them at the park.
I mean, that'd be the day to do it if they have them ready by then.
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot of hype out there. So Ahmed Best actually confirmed that he won't be in the Obi-Wan Kenobi series. And as Jar Jar Binks, we got to see where Jar Jar Binks ended up. And he ended up, I believe, on Naboo or Tatooine. I don't know. Someone in the comments can help us out with that. But he ended up being like a clown or a juggler or something.
Oh.
And I heard someone say it was punishment for him giving the Chancellor emergency powers.
Fair enough. But if you think about it, he'd be a terrible juggler. He's clumsier than I am, and I'm pretty clumsy.
Right, but he is a whole lot older. Maybe, I mean, maybe he got skills now. I mean, once the battle was over, once the war was over, I mean,
maybe he finally matured.
You know, that's a good possibility. My kind of hope is that we do see Gungans in the future of Star Wars, but a little less clumsy, a little less kind of goofy like Jar Jar, maybe more mature, like you say.
I'd like to see him just because of the advance in like CGI that we have now. I'd like to see what they look like. Because like watching The Phantom Menace, like it's a little rough.
Mm-hmm.
But that's comparing it to the technology we have now. So I'm curious to see what like Jar Jar or other Gungans would look like today.
Yeah, I thought they did a terrific job back in the late 90s with Jar Jar. And a lot of the effects, I think, hold up. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I totally redesigned Jar Jar for today's computer processing power and all the graphics possibilities. That would be super interesting to see. Maybe go back to Naboo in a future TV show. I don't know.
I've heard love a rumor. To.
Yeah, I've heard a rumor. I've heard several places talk about going back to Naboo. It might be in the Boba Fett show, might be in the Mandalorian show in the season 3. But yeah, I know you'd be psyched to go back and visit some handmaidens.
Yeah, I got Sabe right behind me right now.
Oh yeah, did you get? So you have a mannequin now, and you have it on.
Yeah. The only thing I need to do to finish the costume is to replace a magnet in the wig because it's off center, and then it's complete. I've got the headdress assembled. I've got the transportation case all filled with carved out foam and silk inside. So I just have that one magnet and then I'm complete. But the motivation to work with a wig again is not there. I hate fake hair.
Yeah, I don't like hair myself. I shave my head usually, so that's how much I like hair. But yeah, it's visiting the older planets, the prequel planets. I think everyone's kind of wanting to go back to Naboo and Coruscant especially.
Yeah.
And hopefully we get it in the Obi-Wan show. I know we keep on talking about the Obi-Wan show. That's like been constantly in my mind. I've been thinking about that and just trying to quell my expectations. But I mean, it's difficult. It's super difficult. Um, and thinking about prequel era stuff, I know we got the prequels back in the early part of the century here, but it's kind of like we're getting the prequels back again in a way with the Obi-Wan show, because we're getting the same actors back. And the fact that they have to go back and fill in gaps that have existed for decades, that had always struck me back in 1997 when I heard about them doing the prequels for the first time. I think that's what really piqued my interest. The fact that they had to make the storytelling stay within like a certain set of rules. They couldn't do certain things. And we could see younger versions of the older characters that we love, like Obi-Wan. And their casting for Obi-Wan, they hit it. I mean, they knocked it out of the park with Ewan and Qui-Gon, which I'm totally thinking we're getting him back. And I've seen other Star Wars fans ask that question: are we going to get Qui-Gon back? Are we going to get is Ahsoka going to search for Ezra? And it's like, isn't that kind of the foregone conclusion? But I mean, I guess that was just me. But a lot of people are thinking, well, maybe the Ahsoka show is about something totally different. But I thought that, yeah, Ahsoka was gonna hunt for Thrawn and thereby search for Ezra Bridger as well. But a lot of people, I guess, didn't think that way. I don't know. What were your thoughts on the upcoming Ahsoka show?
I really don't know. Like, there's so many directions you could take it, and I'm really excited because we're getting Mandalorian 3 before that one, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Do we know if she's making another appearance? Or is the next time we see her in the Ahsoka show?
So I'm not quite sure if Rosario Dawson is going to appear in anything other than her show. I would think no, because she's doing a lot of things in her career, and I think they only have her contracted for what? You know what? I think she's contracted for multiple series, but I'm not sure if it's all going to be Ahsoka show related or if she's going to jump between shows. And we all know that the 3 shows, Rangers, Ahsoka, and The Mandalorian, and Book of Boba Fett, they're all going to converge into some event. So yeah, it's a possibility.
Yeah, and then my other question is, do we know where in the timeline the Ahsoka show is set? Like, is it following the events of The Mandalorian? Or is it following the events of something else?
I think from everything that I've seen and heard and the way that the story is going, I think it's going to be predominantly after her episode in The Mandalorian season 2. We might get some flashbacks, and it all depends on if that actress that was cast in Obi-Wan Kenobi is a young Ahsoka as well. I think it depends on that. I think that has a little bit of a factor as well, because if she shoots something as young Ahsoka for Obi-Wan, they're probably going to do a thing where they might as well shoot for the Ahsoka show. And if we find out that she's shooting for as Ahsoka, I think that we're going to get young Ahsoka stuff. So we're going to get kind of a jump in timelines everywhere, possibly. That would be my hope, for them to do Clone War era stuff and then weave that into all the other shows. Just kind of knock it all out.
Well, if we get flashbacks in Obi-Wan, you might as well, when you're doing a younger Obi-Wan, potentially an Anakin, might as well just throw Ahsoka in there. Why not?
Yeah, if we do get the flashbacks, the fans' expectations will be that, yeah, we're going to have to get more flashback, more cool flashback stuff like that in future shows. And yeah, there's a lot of fans that I think by now they're aware of Ahsoka. I mean the episode, no doubt. The live action episode, but they're not as familiar. But if we do more live action stuff with Ahsoka, I mean, she should be a bigger character than she is. She's already pretty huge, but I don't think like the mom and pop recognition is quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
I'm thinking that after her own show, if it's a standalone show, if there's nothing else going on, there's not another Marvel show airing at the same time, if there's not other stuff. Although Bob Chapek did say that they're going to try and drop 100 pieces of original content on Disney Plus. So it might get really crazy, and it might kind of be lost a little bit on
Sounds like we'll be
pop
busy.
culture. Yeah, it's I don't think we don't have to worry about not having something to talk about in the future. I talked to Colin several times, and he's like, yeah, this 2021 is the year of Marvel, but 2022 is going to be the year of Star Wars. And it's like, wasn't the year of Star Wars all those years that the saga films came out? But yeah, I mean, I totally agree. We're going to get multiple series in a year, and it's going to be a lot. But I'm pretty sure, yeah, we'll cover it all in detail. But yeah, Boba Fett is up next for live action, but we're also going to get Visions this year. And of course, the Bad Batch debuts on Star Wars Day while I am at Galaxy's Edge. So I'm not sure if we're going to stay up and then watch it and then do the podcast and then wake up early and then go to Galaxy's Edge. I'm not sure what the itinerary there is. But yeah, it's all going to kind of kick off with Bad Batch. And
I'm excited for that show.
I don't know anything. I haven't heard anything, but I think we're going to get some huge surprises in that show.
Yeah.
Because Filoni is involved, and I think that he's greenlighting several things that will happen. But I haven't heard anything specifically. But my hope is that we get some huge surprises, and I think we will. I think them dropping Fennec and showing the fact that Rex is there. Or actually, is it Rex or Cody? I think Commander Cody's in there.
I don't know. They all look the same in their armor to me.
Yeah, they all look alike, yeah.
And out of their armor. They all look the same to me. I have a hard time telling them apart, which is why I'm really excited for Bad Batch, because I'll be able to tell them apart.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm trying to think back to the trailer. I know there was a couple surprises. So in that trailer, though, they reveal the name of that that young kid with the blonde hair. There's been speculation that it's female, and some people think it's a male. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl or what exactly.
They're very androgynous.
Right,
it's hard to tell.
But apparently the name of that character is Omega.
Which you still can't tell.
Right. You still can't tell. But when I first saw that character, I immediately thought Captain Phasma, a young Gwendolyn Christie.
Oh.
That's what I thought. But I don't think the ages make sense, because that's way too far in the past for her to be as young as she was in the sequel trilogy.
My first thought was Palpatine, because they have the same hair sculpture.
Right. A lot of people are thinking,
like, it's really close. It's really similar.
Right. So
it's almost too similar.
So yeah, I'm thinking, maybe a Palpatine clone. A lot like Boba to Jango. Yeah,
I've heard a lot of thoughts that it's Rey's dad.
I've heard stuff like that too.
And I don't know if that timeline makes sense or not.
Right. So yeah, kid of Palpatine, either way. So somehow related to Palpatine.
Yeah, I think it would make sense, because around that time, Luke would be like a baby. And with them being both young,
right?
That would make sense. It could add up that that's Rey's dad. It's gonna blow my mind if we start connecting all those dots like this.
Yeah, I just don't want to get my hopes up with that.
Yeah.
Because our experience with Marvel and WandaVision.
Everything is Mephisto.
We were so certain that Mephisto was going to be a character.
That's who Omega is. Omega is Mephisto.
Oh gosh, don't say that.
Oh my.
So yeah, that character appears to be kind of a main character in this series. So we're gonna figure out some stuff about Omega, and I'm wondering if did the fans really figure out who that was? I mean, is it somehow related to Palpatine? And why hasn't this character been talked about before?
Yeah.
And did Filoni create a new character a lot like Ahsoka that we're gonna kind of fall in love with? I mean, to me, I think there's a lot of room. There's a lot of wiggle room to create new characters that have nothing to do with future events that will be introduced to us. But
yeah, Omega seems like a really cute kid, so I'm excited to learn who they are.
yeah. Yeah, May 4th, that's when it premieres, Star Wars Day.
That's
So
like coming up fast.
yeah, it's coming up really fast. We're like 3 weeks away.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Time goes by faster when you get older, and it doesn't stop going by fast. It's wild.
Oh, I don't like it.
Yeah, I don't like it either. But yeah, it's happening. So yeah, earlier in the podcast, I did mention it's the 2-year anniversary of Chicago Celebration. And 2 years ago, James, Joseph, myself, we all took a plane. I think we took one plane to Chicago. And they had never met Colin before in person. So that was the first time they met Colin. And at that point in time, Colin wasn't on the podcast. He was more of like our associate producer. And yeah, James was kind of like, well, what's this guy like? I mean, what's his deal? Is he cool? I mean, he says we can stay with him. Is it all good? And I'm like, yeah, it's all good. And then we just do the podcast. And I know James had a lot of kind of apprehension towards staying with some guy that he never met before, but I was vouching for him. I'd known Colin since 2017, and if it's Star Wars related, yeah, it's all good with Colin. So I was like, don't worry about it. And yeah, we showed up to his place and we stayed with him, and it was perfect. It went without a hitch. And I'm not quite sure there's going to be anything Star Wars related that we do that goes off that's that complicated that worked that well. The scheduling to us meeting up together, and we podcasted every night, and it was an awesome experience. And it was the last celebration before the pandemic hit, and we got pictures of that same convention center. I forgot the name of it, but that same convention center a year later was nothing but hospital beds, the floor that held Celebration. And that was super kind of just sobering, you know?
Yeah.
And yeah, and people will ask me, is it worth it going to Celebration? Is the hype real? And I think I tell everyone the same thing, that if you're a huge Star Wars fan, it's totally worth it to go to Celebration. Celebration is where I met Colin. This podcast would not exist without Celebration. And it was super cold in Chicago, but I didn't care. I don't think any of us cared about the cold. And it was an awesome experience. And you make friends. If you're in line, talk to people. I think that's one of the biggest pieces of advice I can give, is talk to the people in front of you and behind you. You never know, because you could be like us. You can make lifelong friends. And it was a 2017 celebration in Orlando is when I met Colin. And look at us now. We're doing a podcast. So it's more about the people, I think, than anything. The panels are great, but it's and the merch is awesome, and to see celebrities, but I think the lifelong friends is truly what it's kind of about. And yeah, it's 2 years have gone by so fast, and that celebration was pretty much perfect. All the panels we got to go to, every night podcasting. It was awesome.
And that's where they dropped the Rise of Skywalker trailer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because I was at work. I work at a library, and I was working when that panel was happening, and I got a notification on my phone that there was a live video, and I opened up. I was shelving, and I stopped, and I opened it up, and I watched the trailer as it was like live streamed from that event. And I lost my mind. And then I had to go to the rest of my shift working in a library, being all quiet, and I couldn't scream about it.
Yeah, so Colin, myself, one of his friends, James, Joseph, we were all there in person at that panel. And
That
we had
to
no
have been
idea.
insane.
Yeah, we actually, I'm not sure who won the lottery because they did the lottery system to pick who could be in that arena. And the thing about it was kind of sad because there was empty seats all around us and they could have fit way more people in there. But I won the lottery. The lottery system got kind of messed up because I had everyone that made it inside in my party, but for some reason they didn't allow that. I forgot the actual technical reason why they weren't a part of the party system. It was so convoluted when we had to sign up for that lottery, but every single lottery, I think someone from the podcast won. So we got coverage for all the panels, but we all made it in and we had no idea that Stephen Colbert was going to host. So he runs up on stage and we're like, oh my gosh. And yeah, it's just like how you see on all the YouTube videos. I took a video of it and you see all the stars of the film there, J.J. Abrams, Kathleen Kennedy. And then they did the whole mic drop thing with Ian McDiarmid coming out and telling them to roll the trailer again in his Palpatine voice.
Yeah, see, when I was watching it, it cut out right after there was that evil laughter, and there was nothing after that. So I couldn't even figure out who that laugh was until much later.
Yeah, that was a total shock. And then they also revealed the title of the film, and that sent the crowd into a huge, like, just scream and roar, and I'll never forget that. And I've been to a lot of sporting events, and I wouldn't say that's the loudest, but I mean, it's up there.
Yeah.
When we got the title reveal that it said Rise of Skywalker, and just the fact that Skywalker was in the title, I think that got everyone hyped. And I just saw a video today again of someone mounted a camera, it seemed like, in the rafters of the floor of Celebration, and you could see everyone and hear everyone's reactions. And yeah, it was almost like a sporting event type of thing. And yeah, I'll never forget it. It's an incredible thing. It's, for me, I'm a person that watches all this stuff. I watch all the Comic-Con panels at home on my computer, and I had been doing that for it's felt like years, but to actually be there, it's a very surreal experience. It's like I'm actually here at this thing. I'm not at home watching it. It's happening in front of me. I know I'm going to watch it again, but I was here. I was here and I saw it with my own eyes. And I always talk about this, but yeah, growing up in a small town, it seems like none of this stuff is tangible, that it's happening somewhere else that you cannot touch and it's not real. But yeah, it's just one of those things that it's an incredible experience. So yeah, go to Celebration if you can. Try and get into those panels. And I posted a picture on our Facebook group of Ryan Johnson signing autographs, and I got my picture with him. And that was before The Last Jedi came out back in 2017, and that was right before the Last Jedi panel. And he stayed out there till 5 o'clock in the morning signing badges.
Oh my gosh.
But you had to be in line for the Last Jedi panel.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was an incredible thing. And yeah, so I met him. He signed my badge. I talked to him for a little bit. And it was like at 4 a.m. And yeah, once I left the line, I went back to my spot with Colin and Mike, and I just kind of looked to see how long he was going to stay. And they were announcing that no more people can get in line more people showed up in line, and he still signed their badges. So he was up super late. I think once he left at 5 a.m., maybe he didn't go to sleep. Maybe he just circled back around and went to the actual auditorium that was in Orlando, and he just stayed awake. And then he had to speak and do the Last Jedi panel, which was incredible. And he signed a huge deal with Netflix, actually. And apparently the terms of the contract state that he's going to get upwards of $100 million for his Knives Out sequels.
Whew.
So yeah, he's getting paid. So to me, that lends more kind of credibility to the fact that he's not going to do anything Star Wars related. He got
at least
paid
not
by
anytime
Netflix.
soon.
Yeah. So, and he from the ground up created his own production company. So he's pretty busy, and for him to do a trilogy, I don't think that's going to happen anytime soon. But more and more, I think that The Last Jedi and all of its controversy and naysayers, it's gonna fade away, I think, just like the prequels, because the prequels, same thing kind of happened. The hate kind of died down for them, and they're more beloved now. And I didn't have personal hate towards the prequels. I wish they were different at the time. I wish they were more like the original trilogy. But I mean, it's Star Wars. It's for a different generation. And I embraced them at the time, and I still embrace them now. And I mean, it's part of the history. It's canon.
Yeah.
And it's from George Lucas. So
yeah, I'm not a fan of the prequels, but that's not going to stop me from watching them and also liking them because they're Star Wars. They're just low on my favorites list.
Yeah, everyone always asks for like rankings of the films, and it's so hard for me to do that. I don't know where to place certain films. Like the prequels,
I feel like it fluctuates all the time.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think with the future Disney Plus shows, I think they're going to fluctuate even more, because we're going to get huge gaps filled in, which will inform us about certain things that happen in the prequels. And I think they're really going to go for that. I think they're really going to study what came before and try and work the story through that, which I think is the only way to really do it. I don't think they're just going to wing it, but it's going to change again. And I think that's an exciting aspect of Star Wars. And
I did see a headline that Taika Waititi said he was going to, quote, ruin Star Wars, and I'm kind of excited to see that.
So yeah, I think that's the major difference. I think our expectations were there for films such as The Last Jedi, but it's not there for Taika's film.
Yeah.
I think all the fans are out there thinking Taika can do whatever he wants, because I mean, it has nothing to do with anything other than the Star Wars name, apparently.
Yeah, I trust him.
Yeah, well, I trust him with pretty much anything. If you wanted to do a saga film, I'd trust him with that as well.
Yeah, and if he's gonna ruin Star Wars, that's all the more fun for me to watch all the people who are so sensitive to their precious Star Wars getting upset over little trivial things.
Yeah, it's yeah, Star Wars fans are a very diverse, very sensitive bunch.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting, and it feels like it's the older fan. It's more the fan in my generation and older that kind of get offended or hurt by what's happening. But it's like, I mean, it's going to have to change.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't do the same thing over and over again. But I don't know. It's just one of those things. And I know we mentioned Obi-Wan Set Leaks. It seems like there's more pictures coming out for Andor as well. And I think there's one prominent picture out there of Imperial officers, which is kind of Yeah, that's where that's gonna be in there. I mean, that's not that big of a deal. But I think they're dressed in white uniforms. Kind of a switch up from the classic monochrome gray, greenish type of olive colored uniforms. So, I mean, Andor's looking great. Everything that's coming out. Aside from the fact that Alan Tudyk is not gonna show up. Hopefully it's gonna be a series, not a limited series like Obi-Wan Kenobi's gonna be. So I think there's hope for Andor. I think it's gonna be a surprise hit with Tony Gilroy coming back. There was a post on our Facebook group about McDonald's toys, and I came home one night and there was 2 McDonald's toys left for me on the counter. They were the Boba Fett toys, and I could tell they were McDonald's toys, and I was like, "Oh, that's weird. They must have ran out of stock of what they originally had, and they just threw these toys in there." But no, there's a Star Wars promotion going on right now with McDonald's that if you buy the classic Happy Meal, you get a McDonald's toy, and the picture of all the possible toys you could get was put up in our Facebook group, and I didn't
commented.
Yeah, I
I'm
know.
once
I'm
again
about to get
asking, where is Rey?
Yeah, I didn't immediately notice that, but yeah, there is no Rey. I mean, you would figure she would be
Main
there.
character of the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. Is there a Kylo Ren?
Yes.
Okay, there's Kylo Ren.
So there's 2 Falcons.
Yeah.
Chewie is flying one and Finn is flying the other. I am super psyched that Finn has some merch, because if Rey merch is hard to find, Finn merch is even harder. Right. But at the same time, Finn never piloted the Falcon. So
yeah, there's a little bit of a continuity error there.
Also, you could have thrown out Yoda. What is Yoda even flying? Did he ever fly? I have no memory of him flying anything.
Well, yeah, he had his own starfighter at one point.
Okay, well,
I think in the video games, I don't know if someone in the chat
Yoda, or if you don't want to throw out Yoda, throw out that red stormtrooper. I think it was a red stormtrooper.
Yeah, Captain Cardinal.
Yeah, throw that one out and put Rey in.
Yeah, that is weird. That does strike me as kind of strange.
Yeah, Rey merch is probably one of the hardest things to find, which doesn't make any sense. It'd be like you can't find Luke Skywalker merch.
Yeah.
That's why whenever people find something with Rey on it, they buy it and give it to me, which is why I have a Rey shrine in my sewing room.
Yeah, I have no idea why Rey is not there. That's an interesting question to ask. I guess when you go to Celebration and make it to one of those panels, you can ask either Kathleen Kennedy or
someone. I would love to go to a Celebration.
So yeah, I'm looking at the picture right now. So yeah, it's not Captain Cardinal, but it's a Sith trooper from Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah.
And then there's Finn and the Falcon, and Boba Fett and Slave One, Chewie and the Falcon, standard TFA Stormtrooper, Darth Vader in his classic original trilogy TIE Fighter, an X-Wing pilot, Kylo Ren.
I think the X-Wing pilot is Luke, because I thought that might be Rey because she flies it in The Rise of Skywalker, but I'm pretty sure it's Luke.
Interesting. And then yeah, Yoda at the very end. So yeah, that is an interesting question.
It's so weird.
Yeah. So I think I have more disappointing news on that whole front. So
oh no.
So what? I went today. So for lunch, I went to McDonald's and I was like, okay, I'm gonna buy a Happy Meal and see if I get a Star Wars toy. In the past, I've gone to McDonald's for specific like toys like this, and of course they give me some other random toy, and it's never worked out. So I've kind of not done that. But today I did, and I did get a Star Wars toy. I got Chewie But the disappointing thing was the fact that they're also offering Disney princesses. So you get a choice of Disney princesses or Star Wars. So the question that was asked of me about what toy I wanted, they still asked me, do I want a boy toy or a girl toy? And I was like, I want a Star Wars toy. So it's like I wanted to tell her, do you think girls don't play with Star Wars stuff? I don't know, but I didn't want to get too deep in the conversation over the drive-through speaker.
That
So
is so frustrating.
yeah,
It's like it's 2021 McDonald's.
yeah,
Step up your game.
yeah. So yeah, I guess I mean, with the whole pandemic, there's not any movie release to tie into for the toys, so they just went back to Star Wars and Disney princesses. I guess their deal with Disney, they struck up something. So I don't know, but yeah, that's pretty much my experience with Star Wars McDonald's toys. So I think that's everything on the list that I had to talk about. Actually, there's one more thing. There's a video that I posted, I believe a couple weeks ago. It was the ILM effects reel, and Bryce Dallas Howard made a couple comments on it that I really liked and that I thought were very intriguing. She said that the second season of The Mandalorian season 2, a bigger volume was created, and you go through that reel and look at certain shots. They show you what was physical and what was actually in the volume as a projection. And some of those scenes, I mean, it's flawless how the background interweaves with the physical foreground. A perfect example is episode 7 of season 2 when Mayfeld is walking in the junkyard. The very background is an actual screen projection, and one of the cranes with the long legs at the very back was actually a stop motion puppet that was puppeteered by Phil Tippett, who's one of the original puppeteers on the original trilogy. So they added that element, the element of the background being projected on in the volume for stagecraft, and then the physical element, and then they had the two actors walking in front. And it's seamless. I mean, it works perfectly. And I know for future shows, they're going to utilize more stagecraft. And we talked about in a previous episode that the volumes will be installed in different parts of the world, because undoubtedly other companies, other effects studios, other films that are going to be created in the future are going to want to use this technology. And a lot like how Disney now owns Lucasfilm, which owns ILM, they kind of rent out their services, and I'm pretty sure they're going to do that for stagecraft and all the volumes they have. And the other thing Bryce Dallas Howard actually said was ILM is really about what have we never done before, and that's really in the tradition of George Lucas, how he doesn't accept no for an answer. There is no try. I mean, if it doesn't exist, they invent it, they create it. And I think Favreau's taken that baton and really added to the legacy of what George Lucas started with Star Wars. It's incredible. That's always something that I think about, and it's amazing that we're still creating and inventing for Star Wars, and we're really not falling behind on the technology aspect. And we're gonna get those new lightsabers.
I'm so excited.
So yeah, I really want to see how those work. So, did you have anything you wanted to talk about?
I don't think I had anything else in addition to that.
Okay. So I'm looking at the comments here. Rudy asked a question: is there any truth to a 70 millimeter premiere? Or a 70
70-minute
minute? Okay,
premiere
I
for
was I
Bad
was thinking
Batch.
about a theatrical premiere. Yeah, I think there's truth to that. I think the first episode is going to be over an hour long. It's almost going to be like a little movie.
Well, I believe that the trailer was posted to YouTube by like the official Star Wars account, and in the description it said either 70 or 75-minute premiere. Because that's where I initially heard it, was in the video description.
Right.
So
Yeah, I'm
I
trying
would
to
assume
remember.
so.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember exactly where I saw that, but I'm pretty sure that is going to happen. It's going to be a really long episode that we're going to get.
Then again, if Disney has taught me anything, it's to not trust their time estimates. Thank you, WandaVision, in your 6 hours.
Right. Yeah.
We got like 4.5 hours of content. We were supposed to get 6.
Yeah, but the question is, how many episodes are we going to get? That's the big question, I think.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone really knows.
Yeah, could the premiere be one episode, or are we getting multiple episodes at once that add up to 70 minutes?
Yeah.
They can do anything. They brought back Luke Skywalker.
Yeah, anything's on the table. Yeah, for sure. Going through the comments here again.
There is a comment that says, I think Yoda takes a Jedi starfighter in his Clone Wars Season 6 arc. Yeah, now that I remember, yeah, he does fly a ship. But it's not prominent enough to warrant a whole toy, right?
There's a lot of toys out there that
Well, a whole McDonald's toy. I'll be clear.
Oh. Well, with that, I mean, yeah, there's some toys that
like, I don't even know why he's an option.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, I know right now you can go to Disney Springs and find a ton of Hondo toys.
Really?
And
I didn't see any when I was there.
Really?
Yeah.
I've seen a couple videos on YouTube where they go in there and like he's pretty prominent. And we talked about it in the past that okay, well, Hondo's gonna show up.
I would love for him to show up. Can he be played by Johnny Depp?
I think someone brought that up in the Facebook group.
He'd be perfect. And then Clint Eastwood as shoot, what's blue face with a hat?
Oh,
why can't I? What's his
Cad
name?
Bane. Is it Cad Bane?
Yes.
Okay.
Clint Eastwood is Cad Bane. They
Yeah,
just seem like
everyone
the
that's
same
listening-
person to me.
Yeah, everyone that's listening to us is like yelling.
Yeah, they're just screaming.
So, yeah, I think those are all the comments. Did you have anything else you wanted to talk about as far as Star Wars goes?
Not that I can really think of offhand. Of course, I'll probably think of something as soon as this podcast ends. That's how it always goes, right?
Yeah, that's usually how it happens. But yeah, I think there's one more thing that we haven't addressed that happened since the last episode. There's a section of Disney Plus now where you can watch the old Ewok movies.
Right.
And you can watch the animated Clone Wars that came out that I fell in love with, that I bought the DVDs for way back in the day. Right after Attack of the Clones, before Revenge of the Sith, that leads up to Revenge of the Sith and introduces General Grievous for the first time. And we heard his voice for the first time there. We saw how he moved. We saw him in action with the multiple lightsabers. So
now,
you can watch all that stuff there. And they were micro episodes, but they built them in Disney Plus to where it's 2 big episodes that you can watch.
Yeah, I got into Star Wars in like 2015 when The Force Awakens came out. I binged all of the like original trilogy and prequel trilogy. So I there's a lot that I missed out on, so I will definitely have to go and binge all of that.
Yeah, so when I
It's
was a
gonna
little
be
kid,
weird because it's gonna be something that's like a nostalgia thing for most people. It's
yeah,
like going back and watching Disney Channel original movies as adults.
right.
It's like you remember loving it as a kid and it was perfect, it was great. It's a
Yeah.
little weird watching it as an adult.
Yeah, I've gone back as an adult, tried to watch the cartoons I watched as a kid, and yeah, they do not hold up whatsoever. My recommendation is don't do it. All the stuff you loved as a kid, don't rewatch it because it's just a mess.
Keep the magic alive in your head.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Remember it as you think it happened.
Not in
Not
actuality.
yeah, yeah. But see, when I was a little kid, I think the Ewok movies happened, and the way that Lucasfilm promoted the films was by doing Ewoks on ice capades. And I went to one of the shows.
Is that like Disney on Ice?
Kind of, yeah, but all Ewoks.
Can we bring that back? I want to go.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I remember going, and I remember the thing is, I remember walking back to the car being happy after it was over because I think I asked my dad if I could buy one of those like little like they're pretty popular now, but at the time, I guess it was in the early 80s. It's like it's almost like a lightsaber hilt, but it has all these fiber optics on it and it lights
Yes.
up. So I had
Yes.
never seen one of those before, and I was like, I want that. And my dad was like, okay. And I got one, and it spun and did something.
And they're like $40.
Yeah, yeah. Now you see them. Now they do spin. They take batteries or mechanical now, but I think at the
Yeah.
time there was no battery. I think there was like I want to say like a watch battery in it that just eventually died.
Yeah,
But
I know I've seen those, and then I've seen the ones where like you push a button and all the little like spine
right,
things like spin around.
right. So yeah, all the Ewok films are on there. Caravan of Courage. I'm not sure what the other title is, but yeah, you'll see Blurgs in there. You'll see a lot of Wilfred Brimley, the guy that does a lot of infomercials, who did a lot of infomercials for diabetes, and yeah, then you have the Genndy Tartakovsky Clone Wars animated, and also you get to see the introduction of Boba Fett in the animated that animation that ran during the holiday special. The holiday special isn't there, but the animation where Boba Fett is introduced for the first time is there. So there's that.
Oh, the
But
holiday
it's
special.
totally cool that Disney Plus is doing this, that they're releasing all this old like Legends material. So it's a good sign.
I've never seen the holiday special. I've seen parts of it, and I think
Yeah.
that might be enough.
Yeah, it's really rough to just sit there and watch the whole thing. It's George Lucas has pretty much disowned it.
Yeah, I
He-
knew it was gonna be rough to watch when I saw the artificial grass inside the house, and I was like, "Oh, we're already off to a bad start."
yeah. And see, my hopes and dreams for the sequel trilogy was that they were going to all get together again and do a holiday special for Disney Plus. That didn't
They
happen.
kinda did with the Legos.
Yeah, but
But
more so in the tradition of the older holiday
yeah.
special. I know they did the Lego one, and the Lego one is really good. It's really good. I think it borders on it has no business being as good as it was. But it would have been cool to maybe see Daisy Ridley sing, kind of like how Carrie Fisher did.
Yes, she's a great singer. Let's
Yeah,
do it.
and having Chewie come back and almost like riff on the whole fact that like a huge chunk of that holiday special was just a bunch of Wookiees growling at each other. I mean, they
Yes.
could have done a lot. They could have had someone come in and play. They could have had Betty White do the B. Arthur role. I mean, they could have done so many different, like almost like a Golden Girls connection type of thing.
Oh, yes.
And then Betty White would be almost like Star Wars canon, you know?
Yes.
I mean, it could have been cool. But of course, when I said the idea on the podcast many podcasts ago, I think Disney did take it and run with it because there's going to be a Marvel holiday special with the Guardians of the Galaxy.
I'm excited. I hope that's like really cheesy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. That's what you do with a holiday special. I mean, just make it. I mean, you don't make a holiday special so that like critics can like give it a bunch of acclaim and say, it's 100% on the tomato meter or anything like that. You do it so that it's just ridiculous.
What is the holiday special on Rotten Tomatoes? Is it on Rotten Tomatoes? I'm
not sure it is. If it is, it's probably in the teens or.
I want to know if it's higher than Tommy Wiseau's The Room.
No, you know what? I think that is more watchable than the holiday special.
The Room,
and I'm a Star Wars fan.
Yes, The Room is much more watchable. Although I've thought about this a long time ago and it's come back around. I want Tommy Wiseau to do a Star Wars parody.
Yeah.
Imagine him playing Kylo Ren.
Yeah, that's the first image that popped into my head.
You're tearing me apart, Ray.
Yeah, I'm not sure Disney would allow that though.
No. But somebody's got to do it. Somebody's got to write that.
Yeah. I don't know, maybe.
We got two things to make happen. Tommy Wiseau, Star Wars, and me being Sabe.
Well, Ray, we talk about certain things on the podcast and they do happen. They do come true. So
let's just manifest it into existence. I mean, Colin's still going on Max Rebo.
And I think Colin's going to get his wish. I think Max Rebo is going to appear in the Book of Boba Fett. I think maybe not as foregone as a conclusion as Liam Neeson being Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I want to say there's an 87% chance we get Max Rebo in the Book of Boba Fett. And we're going to have to hear about it for many more decades after that happens.
Forever.
Because Colin is, he showed up in the holiday special, so yeah. So I think we're getting more comments here. I got to scroll down here. So Alex Vincent says hello back. And Drew says, I think Yoda takes a Jedi Starfighter in his Clone Wars Season 6 arc. I think that's accurate. And Joseph says there's no reason to see all of it. I think he's referring to the holiday special.
Yeah. But then the comment underneath that is that I have to watch it in order to be a member of the podcast.
Well, I mean, I haven't sat down and seen it all the way through. I've seen it in huge chunks. And it's just like, why am I watching this?
Yeah, I think I was on a Zoom group chat thing and somebody started like screen sharing and streaming it. And I had to leave for something. So I didn't get to watch. I don't know if they watched all of it or not, but what I saw was interesting.
Yeah.
Is a word.
Yeah, that's a word you can use. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It's Colin's saying 87% is a good percentage. So,
or is it 87 years of having to hear about him talk about Max Rebo if we get him in Book of Boba Fett?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah,
maybe possibly. A bit of both. Both is good.
All right. Well, I think on that note, that's the podcast. Unless you have anything to add, talk about.
Nope.
Sabe stuff.
I love Sabe. That's about it.
So yeah, at Celebration, expect to see Rey as Sabe. So.
Hey, if I get there, I'm bringing Sabe. For sure.
Yeah, 2022, Anaheim Convention Center.
It would be amazing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I totally forgot how to end the podcast. It's been so long.
May the force be with you.
Always. Pew, pew.